Good morning. Welcome back to the ALG Show. So today's going to be a little bit different. I don't have a guest with me. Um, just going to be me talking about a few things, notably some recent experiences I've had as a cinematographer, what the future is going to look like for the show, and men's mental health. So if you're interested to hear more, go ahead, listen. But without any further ado, we'll get into it. All right, welcome in. Happy to have you here. I really appreciate the few people who do listen to the show. I'm happy to have you here. Thank you so much for continuing to listen if you have, or if you're just tuning in kind of for the first time. Happy to have you here. Welcome. Grab a seat. There's plenty. Right. So, and I also want to thank like all the previous people that I've had as guests. It's been such an incredible thing to kind of do. It's been a really interesting passion project for me, and I love everybody that I've had on, and they all mean so much to me. So thank you again if you've been on the show. Y'all are really special, and I appreciate all of you. So let's get into that. Let's talk about the future of the podcast. I will continue to do one a month. I think that's been a pretty comfortable schedule for me, and it hasn't been so demanding, which was sort of the fear that I had initially when I had done it bi-weekly. I think now I've created a healthier boundary with it, and it allows me to kind of, really distill episodes into something that's more important and more intentioned versus like if I tried to put out one like every week or every other week where I was just like, all right, I want to get something up. I don't believe in that. I think I want to put out something that I think is genuine and distill it into like liquid gold that could be incredibly useful for somebody, and myself included, because, this is also kind of my first time hearing certain people's experiences from people that I've known for years, right? So I really want to set an intention with, number one, who I'm talking to, and number two, how often I'm talking to people. And I think for those two things to work, I think once a month has been pretty healthy for me. So I'm going to keep doing that. I think as far as the future, I do plan to potentially, I've kind of toyed with this a little bit more, but August is going to be an interesting month. I want to do sort of some roundtable type interviews where I'm going to be talking less. I'm just sort of going to be feeding questions to a few guests on an episode and have them kind of talk amongst each other while I selfishly listen. That is something that I'm planning for August, along with a few other stuff in August. So, be on the lookout for that stuff coming out. But it's going to be generally the same. I kind of like the format. I sort of like, sort of the intention that I set and the topics that I talk about. I really enjoy it. I guess sort of a side note that I could quickly mention is I am working on creating a few sort of visualizers for the podcast. I know I've been asked a lot to sort of create video assets for the show, but I kind of want to make it in sort of an ALG way. I won't spoil too much what it is going to be yet, but you'll see it. You'll see it'll become readily available on Spotify, YouTube, and I am still working on Apple Podcasts. I am very sorry that it slips my mind so often, and I'm really trying to work on it. But you'll know when it's available, and I'll make it known here as well. But I have some intentions as far as a visual language for the show. I've gotten some advice from some friends of mine. You know who you are. Thank you very much. I seriously do take any feedback that friends give me on this into deep consideration. So thank you. That's in the works. You'll hear more about it maybe in next month's show or the month after. But yeah, those are kind of just some general notes on what the future looks like for the podcast. Generally, it's going to look the same. It's going to feel the same. Just a little bit of, I guess, housekeeping here and there on like what the visuals will be, and sort of the format of the show. Um, Again, thank you so much for everybody who listens, and to all the guests that have done this. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much always. I want to talk about sort of some different thoughts that I've had kind of recently in the last maybe month or so. I've recently sort of experimented with film photography, specifically 120 film on the Mamiya RB67. I've only really at the time of the recording, I've only really shot two film stocks. That is Portra 400 and Ilford Delta 400. So a black and white film. And I'm gonna be honest, it's been really fun. I've had a great time. Sort of just experimenting with different stuff. After having disposables for a little bit, specifically the Fujifilm ones, I wanted to delve into something else, and I kind of made the purchase of a Mamiya RB67, and that's been incredibly fun, both in the sense that, like, number one, there's a mystery to what the image is going to be. I'm so used to shooting everything on digital that, like, I can quickly correct something, or if the director sees something, they can quickly point it out and we can quickly make an adjustment. That workflow I'm just so used to. And the fact that I can't preview anything, the fact that, like, I have to meter for everything, which, admittingly, for the first initial shoots, like the first two, I was pretty paranoid about it because I just really wanted to make sure that, like, everything was exposed. It was initially a bit of an intimidating process, but I'm having a great time with it. I really am. I've started to get more comfortable with the process, and I don't know if it's shooting 120 film or on the RB67 that makes me feel this way, but because I guess it is because the RB67, but because that camera is all analog, all mechanical. There's no electronic element like the RZ67 is. I guess because every bit of it is mechanical, I feel really focused on the image, right? Because 8mm I've done for like a few music videos, and it's been pretty easy to kind of point and shoot something, right? Because, sort of the philosophies of traditional cinematography or digital cinematography sort of carry through. Like, I'm not going to change my ISO, I'm not going to change my shutter speed or shutter angle during the shot. The only thing I'm really changing is like my iris to compensate for exposure. And once it's set, it's sort of done. I could just mess with the zoom depending on the lens and just kind of quickly sort of find shots and capture things. And that's really fun in and of itself. But I think because this particular camera is just an all manual process, I feel like I'm really focused and incredibly dialed into what I want to do and the way that I want to compose an image and everything. I feel like I'm much more precise and focused, and I love it. I love sort of the mechanical, like that click of the shutter, especially that Mamiya is like a big, heavy shutter that goes up and down. It's just, it's been incredibly fun for me so far, and I think for a while I've needed that. I think lately I haven't been feeling sort of as inspired as I wanted to be. I feel like I get into this habit of like, okay, this is a job. I'm going to focus. I'm going to make sure that we're all, sort of on the same page as far as what the image should look like, especially for like commercials and stuff. Like, I really try to focus on like everybody's satisfaction, right? In other words, there's less time for play. And I've been able to have that with film because, I'm not as worried about the expectations of somebody. It's more satisfying my own expectations, and that's been really fun. And also, moving into something like an analog format has also been really fun. Because with digital, I feel like it's so easy just to alter things after the fact, especially like if you've shot on red before. the fact that all that R3D data is there and you could just quickly change like your ISO, your white balance. I believe you can change like, no, you can't change your shutter speed, but there's a lot that you can manipulate. And I think because you can't manipulate it really much after the fact has given me that limitation in and of itself has given me so much freedom in the sense that like I really have to focus on getting it right. And that in and of itself has been really fun. Um, Talking more about fun, I've really, because of this sort of thought that I've had, that I haven't felt as inspired to make things. I've pursued a few passion projects. I won't disclose what they are yet because I don't want to bring it up just yet because I'm not 100% ready. But I've been working on a few passion projects. At least this past year, I've really started to work on a few projects that have been really exciting for me. I've been having really fun with all the people involved. I've been having a lot of fun with just my own experimentation. And it's allowed me to kind of try things without any risk. And I've had a really fun time with that. Um, and I think sort of something I'm realizing now is that I don't give myself that chance to do that. I feel like when it comes to, deeping like a commercial or music video, I'm very focused on like, all right, what is the thing that I can do to best serve the production and what is the sort of lighting setups that I can put together that I know is really going to work for this sort of thing. In other words, I'm working within the confines of something. Whereas when I'm on my own and I'm just creating for the sake of creating, that's been really fun for me. And that has also allowed me to sort of take a risk on an idea, right? I don't want to take my general sentiment is like I like to do things that work as far as like music videos go, as far as commercials go, as far as narrative stuff goes. Especially narrative, you have a rhythm for the coverage, you have a rhythm for the lighting. There's no real chance to sort of experiment outside of that. Once the workflow's set, the workflow's set. And then it isn't to say that that is a negative thing, right? You can have a lot of fun within those compounds. And I definitely do, especially when it comes to, all the works that I've sort of done before. It's been really fun to work within those compounds. But I've had a lot of fun also working outside of that, not having any. Just being like, okay, let's just shoot something. Let's try something. Let's have it. Let's see what sticks and go from there. That's been really fun for me. And giving myself, more importantly, the freedom to do that. I feel like I'm definitely guilty of being so rigid in the sense that like things have to be done a certain way. Less militant, but giving myself sort of a guideline of like, this is the way that things should be done, or these are certain principles that I should apply to this, and this. And by saying just fuck it, let's figure it out, it's been really fun for me. And as far as like, sort of the future of my work, it's allowed me to sort of build new principles that I can then apply to my work. And that sort of seeps into my identity as a cinematographer, right? Inevitably, there could be the argument made that like you're working within the confines of something, your identity isn't really there. I disagree. I think inevitably, based on certain choices you make on set or certain choices that you make with lighting, that is your DNA. Your DNA is always going to be there. That's like saying, your kid comes out of the womb and because they don't look 100% like you, it's not you. No, they're 50% of me and my partner. You know what I mean? There's still very much your identity there and your DNA there. So, the TLDR of this is through allowing myself to sort of experiment a little bit more and to kind of try different things. I've had a lot of fun, and it's allowed me to sort of reinvent what type of work I'm producing, and it allows me to reinvent what I think my identity should be as a cinematographer. That's been really fun. And the only reason I've been able to experiment is because I've had quite a bit of free time. It's kind of known work hasn't been great. Just kind of end of last month, it was reported by the New York Times, I believe it was, that film production is down by like 25%. That's 25% less jobs that are now happening, which is insane, right? And as a result, even some of the busiest people I know, some of the busiest people that continue to inspire me in what I do, right? They're not working at all, which is terrifying. Myself included. I haven't worked a ton. I've sort of picked up jobs here and there as they've come up. And I'm grateful for the people who do continue to hire me and do trust me in this creative process. I thank you all very much. But it's been pretty scarce and it's been pretty scary. And a lot of times I've sort of questioned, not that it's a healthy thought to have, but I sort of questioned what is this something worth pursuing? And that's obviously a very discouraging thing. And I don't say this to say that like I am literally deserving of that. I don't think so. I don't feel that way. But again, I'm given the time. I'm just going to sit there and think about stuff, think about scenarios, think about things that should have happened, what could have been. And I know it's not healthy. And I think I've sort of worked on trying to focus on the things that are within my control and the things I can do, which is to experiment and have fun in certain things that are much less pressure. And I think that's the time to learn. I've been studying a lot. I've been just picking brains of other cinematographer friends of mine. I've been just sort of expanding my Rolodex as far as like both technical and theoretical, like color theory and stuff. And that's been really fun for me. And I think by focusing on those things that I can control, which is, learning and those sorts of things, it's been giving me a lot of peace of mind to knowing that, like, all right, I'm going to be good. Once work kind of comes back, I'm going to be kind of ready for that. And I think, if you're sort of having a similar issue of like self-doubt and that sort of thing, just focus on the things you can control. Move the chess pieces that you do already have and that are within reach, right? And just take it day by day. You don't have to try and figure out what your 100-step plan is going to be for right now. Just figure out what you're going to do to continue to like inspire yourself and keep yourself active. Just do that. By trying to focus on like the bigger picture and all these sorts of things, you're gonna lose your damn mind, because I know that I did, right? So just focus on what's in front of you, and just keep your head up. You'll be all right. I have faith in that. We'll be good. You know. Talking about this sort of thought pattern that I've been having, and I guess a lot of my friends have been having. I really want to touch on men's mental health for a second. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm sure you've seen it if you are a frequent listener to this show. Regardless of the gender of the guest, I always bring up mental health. I think it's such a really important thing, and you never know what somebody's dealing with, and you don't want to assume. And as it is, people have this people have enough going on in their life, and I think it's important to sort of check up on your friends, check up on your peers, your partners, that sort of thing. And I'm bringing this up now because, I think, myself included, among many other male friends in my life, I think it's a really difficult thing to bring up sometimes. Mental health is kind of a bit of a taboo thing sometimes, and I really try to kind of clear the smoke and mirrors in regards to that sort of thing. I'm pretty like open-ended as far as like, if you want to talk to me about something, I want to hear what you have to say. Like, don't worry about like, oh, I'm a burden or whatever it is. You're not. I promise you that. I'd rather you talk to me, if not somebody else, about something you're dealing with. Just, you gotta get it off your chest. You hold it there for too long, and it just manifests in such an ugly, vindictive way that is just so, you don't want that, right? And the last thing I want to hear about is someone who had bottled up everything and just didn't talk to anybody and just let it take over. And that's a very PG way of putting it, but I really want to drive home the point that, like, especially the men in my life, like, talk to somebody. If not me, somebody else. Just get it off your chest. It's important. Talk about the things you're dealing with. Build in habits to um, allow yourself to maintain a healthier mental state. I can name a few things that I've done. For example, I make the effort to, consistently exercise. I make the effort to kind of eat a little bit healthier, because that contributes, especially eating, that contributes in such a big way to just your life as a whole. And that's a whole other tangent. But maintaining a healthy diet, exercising, you know, as much as you can, right? Given our industry, it's a little bit difficult, but if you can help yourself, at least a walk for like 10, 15 minutes, that does that does wonders. That really goes a long way. Um, just the little things you can do, right? Um, and also, if you can check up on other people, I would suggest doing so. I get it if it's a little bit difficult for, if you're in a difficult headspace. It's definitely hard to give other people the space to sort of talk candidly about their own issues, right? But if you can, and if you can make the headspace to do it, I definitely, I think we should. I definitely try to make the effort to, right? I'm definitely no perfect human being. I'm no therapist. But also, like, sort of that professional help is definitely great as well, right? I went to a therapist for many, many years. Um, I make the conscious effort to actively check in on myself and just other people. Like, occasionally I'll make a phone call to friends just to sort of see what's up, how's everybody doing, that sort of thing. Um, just obviously I'm kind of rambling for a minute, but just exercise, make sure your diet's good, get some sunlight in you, walk outside for 10, 15 minutes, goes a long way. Um, don't scroll on your phone so much. TikTok is Coco Melon. Stay away from Coco Melon. Just, stay off your phone. You'll be all right. Just take a minute to yourself and breathe. Meditate. That's also been a huge thing for me. I've learned a little bit more on meditation, and I've taken the time to do that and to integrate it in sort of my routine, to meditate. So that's been a really huge thing as well that I recommend to others. If you have the bandwidth to do that, obviously it's a little bit difficult, but all this to say, right? All this to say that I hear you. We're gonna be all right. Just put one foot in front of the other. Take it day by day, and we'll be all right. Check in with your friends, and if you know me personally, if you have my phone number, you can talk to me anytime, whenever. I'll make the space. I will always make the space for somebody who wants to talk to me about this sort of stuff, because I think it's important. I'd rather you talk to me or a professional, or if you don't want to talk to me, that's okay. You just talk to somebody. Point blank. Period. Don't bottle that. Right. Let's look out for each other, and let's be more conscious of the people in our community, in our circles, and just take care of each other more often. Yeah, this is sort of my ramble. I know it got a little bit more serious, and I know it is definitely a little bit different from what you normally see here on the show, but I had some stuff I wanted to touch on, and I feel like, especially in regards to mental health, it's something I take really seriously amongst friends and partners and stuff like that. I really try to take it seriously, and I really try to look out for people and, check in on your friends, and more importantly, if you're anything like me, the filmmaker, artist of any kind, have fun with your art. Take some risks. Try some different things. Um, be active in that pursuit. You gotta take care of your kid, your inner child, and I think that's allowed me to do that, and I think it'll allow you to do that, right? So, hopefully, there's been a positive takeaway for you. I definitely really enjoyed this sort of, I guess we'll call it a pit stop from what my normal episodes are. Um, Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.